Hello, I'm RPG Maniac 05 with my picks for biggest time killer in 2012 for the Golden Crosshairs for 2012. I ended up with two choices for this particular category again because by virtue of my play times for some of these games, they came relatively close in the amount of time, but for different reasons. So first up is Final Fantasy XIII-2, which came out in January. The game takes place sometime shortly after 13, where you play as Lightning's sister Sarah as she goes on a quest to try to save her sister. This includes a lot of time travel and all kinds of other shenanigans going on, so because of that you end up doing a lot of side quests and a lot of going back and forth to try to get through one mission, because you have to go to a different time in order to unlock something for a different timeline. So of course this leads to a lot of time being spent doing missions and everything, because obviously by virtue of the way the game's set up, you're gonna spend a lot of time going back and forth through these different timelines. So that was part of the reason that caused me to spend a lot of time doing it, because it's not just like a straightforward game where you could just go from point A to point B and then just finish everything. So you have to collect these artifacts throughout each of the timelines, which allow you to open up gates to different and alternate timelines for the different towns and worlds you get to visit throughout the game. So you collect these in different places, and when you solve the problems and the scenarios that are going on in these various places, it allows you to move on with the story and go forward. Throughout, there's a couple of little diversions as well, because there's of course serendipity, which is the obligatory casino mini game plays for the RPG. So here you can do chocobo races and play the slots and things of that nature, so you can win prizes and everything. So that could probably suck up a bit of your time if you want to, just because there's certain objects you need from this place anyway, so you're going to end up there. So you can probably end up spending quite a bit of time there trying to gather coins and money to do that. And there's also the monster catching aspect of the game, which allows you to catch the monsters that you're fighting and have them join your team and use to fight battles and bosses and things of that nature. So each of the monsters have different roles, which correspond to the roles of the previous game's paradigm system, which included the Commando, Ravager, Sentinel, and Medic, and things of that nature. So you'll probably spend a good amount of time trying to find the perfect monsters for your team based on the type of roles you want them to play on your team, because there's a level of strategy when it comes to the Final Fantasy 13's the series battle system. So you have to kind of think about what kind of roles you want them to play, whether you want them to be a saboteur, so that way they can put debuffs on the enemies while your other two characters are healing or attacking or whatever it is you need them to do, or playing the role of a medic so you don't have to, and you can focus on fighting enemies while the monster's doing the healing. So there's always a different aspect. And also, since some of the Final Fantasy mainstays like the Tomberries and Cactars and things make appearances as well, some people will go out of their way to try to catch those as well, like I did. So you spent a lot of time catching all the monsters and trying to find that perfect team. So I ended up spending a lot of time doing that in addition to the missions, which caused me to rack up a bunch of play hours as a result. So it's a lot of stuff packed into one game, which I guess was a way to try to fight criticisms of the first game being too linear, even though once again it's a topic for a different time. But it allows you to branch out a bit more and go at your own pace and do a lot of different things. So you will end up spending a lot of time with the game, and that's part of the reason why it's one of my biggest time killers of 2012. My second choice for this category was Tales of Grace's F, which was also released last year, and it's an RPG released by Namco Bandai, and another in the Tales series, which focuses on a new group of hero, as most of them do, because there aren't many sequels in the series. And this time around, the characters, you start off with their childhood and kind of work your way up into their teenagehood and future arcs, and as usual with the Tales game, it's pretty long, so it's not just even outside of doing side quests and gaining titles and getting new costumes and all the other things that are going on with the game, you'll end up spending a good chunk of time just doing the main story itself. So that alone takes up a good 40 or 50 hours, let alone you going through during the different mini games, doing the secret bosses, and doing all the side quests to get the different abilities and titles that the characters need in order to progress, and learning the different arts and everything. So it's really a lot for you to do. And since you have these things for, I want to say it's like 7 or 8 characters, so it's you get to play around with your teams and figure out what kind of battle styles you like and all those things. And then even once you beat the game, there's actually another kind of like story scenario afterwards that's unlocked, that takes place sometime in the future, after like a few months into the future after the end of the actual game itself. So that adds another good chunk of time onto the game that allows you to play through more at the character story, learn a bit more about what was going on, and then do more side quests and things of that nature. And after you beat this, you also unlock a new game plus, which allows you to go through and do all this stuff again. But then it also unlocks new bosses and new secrets and all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is kind of standard for a Tales game, so it's not too surprising. So when you get a Tales game, you're pretty much expecting to sink dozens and dozens of hours into it if you plan on being that person that goes to 400%, whether it's your trophies or achievements or whatever it is. And even if you're just like a completionist who wants to get the best weapons, or get all the titles for your characters and get all their special abilities and everything. So it's one of those things you have to be prepared to sink some time into, but it's okay because it's a lot of fun and the characters are great, and it's just it's a lot of fun mixed in to keep you busy. So that's was my second choice for the biggest time killer as well, and as a result I've racked up quite a few play hours on that game as well. So Final Fantasy XIII-2 and Tales of Grace's F were my choices for biggest time killer of 2012. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the rest of the Golden Crosshairs 2012 host picks.